Solving power equations. So these examples and tips are from your 7.2 note sheet, solving power equations. So to start with, what is a power equation? A power equation is an equation where there's an exponent and x is the base. So this is going to be only when you have x showing up one time in the equation being raised to an exponent, something like 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. This is not a power equation because you have x showing up several times. This is a quadratic equation, which you would use very different steps to solve. Okay, so a power equation looks like what we have here in 3 and 4, where we have x being raised to some exponent. So I have a couple tips here of how to solve these, and just like a lot of other equations, when we try to solve for x, you want to isolate the variable to one side of the equation. So if you look at number 4, where you have 15 times x to the power of 3, the first thing you're going to do there is divide both sides by that 15. So then you get the equation x to the power of 3 equals 120 divided by 15, which is 8. Okay, so then to solve these equations, what we do is we are going to use the power property of equality. And basically what this states is if you have two things that are equal, so if A equals B, let's say, then if you raise A to an exponent, you can do that as long as you raise B to the same exact exponent. We're also going to use in this the power of a power property, which states that if you have a being raised to an exponent raised to another exponent, you simplify this by multiplying those together. So what we're going to do to solve these is you take both sides to a power. More specifically, the power that is going to, in essence, cancel away the power that's on the x. Using the property over here, if you have a power being raised to a power, you simplify that by multiplying. So 3 times what number is going to give me an exponent of 1? And that is going to be 1/3. So up here in your tips, what can you multiply the exponent by? That's going to be the reciprocal. Remember, reciprocals are just flips of itself. So the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. The reciprocal of 4 is 1/4. The reciprocal of 1/5 is 5. The reciprocal of negative 2/3 is negative 3/2. Okay, so you just flip whatever's there. So then this property over here said, okay, you can raise it to a power, but you also have to use take the other side to the same exponent. So then on the left side, you have the 3 times the 1/3 gives you the 1. So you don't really need to write exponent of 1, it's just x equals, and then typing in your calculator 8 to the power of 1/3, and you end up with 2. And then just like any equation, you can check this, type it in your calculator 5 times 2 to the power of 3, and you should get 120. So it checks out. Okay, number 3, we have an exponent of -5. Reciprocal of -5 is going to be -1/5. So taking both sides to the power of -1/5, goodbye, goodbye, that cancels. So x is about 3,500 to the power of a -1/5 gives us, it's about a 0.2. Okay, if you're not getting the same answers as I'm getting in both of these, you might have an older style calculator. If you type in 3,500 and then your exponent button, if you don't see a little tiny box appear up here, your cursor does not go up there. When you type in -1/5, then you need to make sure that you put that in parentheses. So again, if you're not getting the same answer, put your exponent in parentheses. And this is how you solve a power equation.